Okay, on to simplifying these two problems. The thing that I want you to be sure you do not say that x squared and x squared will simplify down to 1. Do not say 7x on top and 7x on bottom will reduce out and leave a factor of 1. That is where most people make their mistakes. They think that will happen. You cannot say 14 and 4 will reduce down to 7 over 2. No, no, no. The only thing you can do when you look up and see a trinomial or a binomial is to factor those. Nothing up here will cancel with anything on bottom because they're not factors. When you're adding and subtracting, they're called addiends. Addiends do not reduce out. You have to factor it. So we're going to factor this first one. It's a trinomial. It has a leading coefficient that's 1, so that means this is an easy trinomial. Normally with an easy trinomial, I do a factor sum table. I don't have to do a factor sum table because I can do it in my head. But if you need to know what doing a factor sum table is, then go back and watch the video on factoring easy trinomials. I think that's how they are titled. Easy trinomials, AC method, difference of two squares, and so forth. So the trinomial on top, I need two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 14. So 7 and 2, 14 and 1, that's all I can think of. Those two numbers also have to subtract, because that's a minus sign, have to subtract to give me 5. So 7 times 2. 7 times 2 gives me 14. 7 minus 2 will give me 5. So I know that I'll have an x and an x inside each one of the factors. This negative 14 means my signs are different. So one's a positive, one's a negative. So put a plus, put a minus. And then because this is a plus, I know the bigger number has to be positive because this sign, when you're subtracting, matches the sign of the bigger number. So 7 is the bigger number, 2 is the smaller number. The bottom, I notice, is just a binomial. So I'm either going to look for a GCF or see if it's a perfect square. I'm sorry, not a perfect square, but the difference of two squares. X squared is a perfect square, 4 is a perfect square, that's a minus sign, that is dots, difference of two squares. Difference of two squares always factors this way. You put the root of the first term in the front, you put the root of the second term in the back, and then you put a plus sign in front of one of them and a minus sign between the other two. Now that I have it factored, this x minus 2 that's on top will factor with the x minus 2 that's on bottom. So the simplified form of the two binomials here is going to be x plus 7. No need for parentheses because I only have one binomial on top. So x plus 7 on top and x plus 2 on bottom. The second one, this is the AC method. So I know when I have the AC method, I have to split this 7 into two parts. So I'm doing 2x squared. I'm going to have plus one x term plus another x term, and those two terms are going to add together to give me 7, and then it's going to be plus 3. And where do I get the two numbers? I multiply the a and the c together. So I'm looking for factors of 6 that sum to 7. So there's my factor sum table. Factors of 6. Where did the 6 come from? 2 times 3. That's the AC method. So numbers that multiply together give me 6. Well, 2 and 3 and 6 and 1. They also have to add together to give me 7. So it looks like I'm going to go with 6 and 1. So 6 times 1 will give me 6. 6 plus 1 will give me 7. So what that means that this 7x right here is going to be split into 6x plus 1x. So right here, I'm going to have 6x and I'm going to have 1x. I put the 6 next to the 2 because my next step is to factor this group and to factor this group. And I knew that the 6 and the 2 would have a GCF of 2. So factor out the GCF of that top group. 2x is the GCF, and that leaves me x plus 3. Remember, when I'm asking you what a GCF is, I'm asking you to undistribute any common factor. And again, I'm showing you more than I intended to, but this is 2 times x times x. This is 2 times 3 times x. So what's the common factor? 2x and 2x. So that's why I brought that 2x out in front. What was left in that first in the first term, it was an x, and what was left over here, it was the 3. So that's how that works. This one doesn't have a GCF, so I'm going to put a 1, because you need to put something in front of the parentheses, otherwise you'll be missing a factor. Notice that these two things are the same. That makes it become one of your factors. So the thing on top factors to x plus 3, and then the GCF that we factored out, the 2x and the plus 1, that's the other factor. 2x plus 1. So my top factors like that. My bottom is an easy trinomial. It's an ET problem. Why? Because the leading coefficient is 1, so I need two numbers that multiply together to give me 12, that add to give me 7. 12 is 6 and 2, 12 and 1, 3 and 4. So it's going to be 3 and 4 because 3 and 4 add to give me 7. So x plus 3 times x plus 4. Now I have a common factor of x plus 3 on top, x plus 3 on bottom. So b simplifies down to 2x plus 1 over x plus 4.